What's going on, guys? Welcome to the vlog this week. So this one's going to be a little shorter, and the main reason why is I figured out how to destroy my hard drive, right? So we lost a ton of different data. But what I want to go through with you guys, right, on the vlog is I want to talk a little bit about like how our muscles actually burn energy, right? So like what happens, whenever you're working out, whether you're doing intervals, whether you're doing continuous movement stuff, where energy actually comes from. And so here we go. Most people don't fully understand exactly how energy is produced. So if you take something like a carbohydrate, for instance, what you don't realize is that all of the carbohydrate is held together by little covalent bonds, right? And the little bonds, literally what happens is enzymes come in, right? So we got two like this, and they come in and hook in between these, and as they break that apart, that breaking apart helps actually produce energy at that point. It doesn't produce energy, it releases energy, kind of like they suck it up, right? So let's say you take carbohydrates, for instance. From a general glucose molecule, you can get 36 ATP, which is our stored energy. It's the way our body uses energy. And now on the opposite side, it takes ATP and breaks one of those phosphates off, and that breaking, kind of like popping a can of soda, that stored energy is then what helps propel your muscles, your brain, let your body, every organism basically live at that point. So one glucose molecule works up to 36 ATP. Now check this out. One fatty acid inside the body is 337 ATP. And the reason why is the fatty acid is basically, like if you heard the word triglyceride, what it is there's three fatty acid chains and one glycerol. So the glycerol makes up for 19 ATP, and the rest of these guys make up for 300 plus ATP, because they're like a bunch of if you look at like a beaded necklace, and it's just popping off pieces of free fatty acid at that point in order to fuel the body. So what's that got to do with anything, right? How's that going to actually apply to your workouts? The way it's going to apply to your workout is this. Let's say you come into militia, you're knocking out a workout, and you do this much work, then you rest for this long, right? And so you wonder, like, why don't I just work the whole time? And if I work the whole time, then maybe I'll work a little bit more. No. Because here's what happens. When your body breaks down glucose, which is our primary source to try to get going first, even though it has less ATP, it's real fast. So you got three different kind of main energy systems. You got the phosphagen system, which is only about 10 to 15 seconds. It's explosive, it's hurry up, it makes it happen real quick. Then after that, for about the next 90 seconds, and here's what's cool, you have the glycolytic process. And the glycolytic actually starts trying to work right when the phosphagen system works. So you think phosphagen, think like 1 rep max push press, and then you think glycolytic is more like the first part of an interval workout, right? And so once the glycolytic system starts running at this point, it starts producing a lot of pyruvate, right? And so glucose, it breaks all the way down into pyruvate. Then from there, at that point, it's going to basically transfer that into something that's called acetyl-CoA, right? Acetyl coenzyme A, blah, blah, blah. I know it's a lot of stuff, but the reason that that's important is the acetyl-CoA will then go into the Krebs cycle to get you all 36, because only 2 ATP has been produced at this point. To get you the remaining of that, that's what it has to do. But as the pyruvate needs to convert to acetyl-CoA, what's going to happen is if you keep working and the energy demand's so high, what happens is a ton of hydrogen ions get built up in the cell, right? That's what the actual burn feels like when you're lifting weights and you start to burn. Not the pump. The pump is blood coming in. It's your muscles dilating at that point to get more nutrients and oxygen there. But the burn feeling is your hydrogen ions, right? And the reason you have hydrogen ions is part of the process from turning pyruvate into acetyl-CoA is you have a release of hydrogen ions. So what happens at that point is there's another chemical, NADH+, right? And that goes and grabs one of the hydrogen ions. And so when you're doing your interval stuff, if you stop for a second, then your body has the ability, while you're breathing and catching up, in order to complete its process without the hydrogen ions getting too high. If you continue past that, then it foregoes that operation, because the pyruvate has to grab the hydrogen ions to turn to lactic acid to get out of the cell, because the cell can't get too acidic. It'll be dangerous for the cell. So it's good, you feel a good burn, a good pump. Then you need to stop, you breathe for a second, you get going again. All the while the oxidative system starts working, and it continues to backfill all your energy. So long story short, when you're hitting the way that we work out and you're working some of these different stuff, it's not always the best idea to do it unbroken. You don't want to do it just short, but it's not always the best idea to go completely through a workout without ever having to take a rest, right? For two reasons. One, we want to do something that's hard enough that it's going to require this high amount of energy. And when you have a high amount of energy, here's what happens next. This is cool. You end up doing stuff with heavy enough weight, or it's explosive enough, or it's taxing enough that you wear through all those energy reserves. And then what happens is, instead of just like getting on a treadmill where you walk, or a Stairmaster or something where you walk for 30 minutes and you get off, all the energy was almost all oxidative. So while you were doing that, boom, you burned a ton of energy. Then you get off, no more energy required. But when you're lifting heavy weights, you're doing explosive movements, you got good interval-based training, what happens is now for the remainder of the day, two things happen. One, your body starts to try to jam more into the cell to replenish that energy reserve that it wore down because it didn't do the slow oxidative process. And the other thing it does is you tear all these little microfibers in your muscle. And just like, this is a cool analogy, like if you take, like I got this cut on my hand right here. I don't even know how I got it there, but it's been there for like 7 days, right? So this cut, because it's external, takes a little longer. It's taken like 7 days of continuous energy going to heal that. Now, if you think inside your cells and your muscles, you break down your muscles enough, then what happens is your body has to continue to supply energy to store or to heal the fibers in there inside your muscle. And that's where the real use of energy happens, which is pretty cool. So you lift heavy, you wear out your muscle fibers, then your body gets to use that slow oxidative process where it uses fat, right, that 337 we talked about, to slowly go in and heal it, just like this, slowly but surely. So big muscles help you burn lots of fat, right? Keep to your interval training. Make sure you guys move explosively when you can. Stay true to your rest intervals, and you got to still move enough and move long enough that you still get, okay, I'm breathing a little hard. And anytime that happens, you're trying to blow off extra CO2. You got extra, hydrogen ions at this point. Your body's soaking that up. At this point, it's getting it out of the cell. You're blowing a bunch of this off mixed with CO2 at that point. And CO2 and water is where that two pieces goes. And you got the oxidative system to help burn even extra energy. And that's what's going to help you get lean and big, strong muscles. Hoo-yah, never quit.
Whoa! Nice job! Wow! Happy 48th birthday!
Walk like I built this town. Steps so light, I barely touch the ground. Everybody wants